19 things broke college students understand. The transition from high school to college is a big one, not just in terms of the curriculum, but as a life experience in general. Not all of us have parents who can afford or are willing to support us in our college careers. If you're a broke college student, some of these may sound way too familiar to you.
Welcome to Titanic. I'm Wacky Universe, here with another video.
19. Below standard eating habits. When you're in college, not only do you scarcely have time to sit down and properly eat, you don't always have the financial means to eat a proper meal. If you're not snacking away mindlessly while trying to study, you're in your dorm or shared apartment counting how many instant ramen packs you have left. But as Chelsea Hunter, an Atlanta-based health coach, recommends, you need to try to stock up on healthy snacks with a long shelf life, such as granola bars, nuts, dried fruit, and crackers. It can be difficult to eat healthy when you don't always have time to cook, but it's possible. 18. Buying textbooks. One of the things that takes up a lot of a college student's money is buying textbooks. According to a report from the Student Public Interest Research Groups, the price of a college textbook has skyrocketed by 73% as of 2006. On their own, students in their first year may shell out the money they need for newer books, but others know to scavenge for used books in smaller bookstores or to ask around in online groups or your friends for old textbooks of classes they took that you're taking now. Sometimes you have no other options but to buy that $400 book in new condition. 17. Rationing your supplies. Anything from how many bread slices you have left to razors and toothpaste, broke college students know the struggle of trying to make their daily necessities last as long as they can. That means getting a reusable water bottle, controlling how many meals in your pantry and fridge you eat, or being overly conscious of how much toothpaste or soap you use. You may find yourself not rationing very well the first couple times, finding yourself on the last shaving razor and using the same one for the next couple months. 16. Spring break expectation versus reality. Before you started college, you probably had all these grand ideas about what college spring break would be like. You and your friends flying off to the warmest coast and partying it up with hundreds of other college kids trying to do the same thing. But instead, your spring break looks a lot more like this because you have no money or time to travel. Global Newswire reported in 2015 that about 55% of college students plan to travel for spring break, meaning a little less than half were stuck doing other things either because they had no interest or no money. However, the report also said that 70% of these students plan to spend less than $1,000 on the trip by stretching their budgets and sharing accommodations with friends. 15. Waiting for your FAFSA refund. Every student knows the tediousness of filling out your FAFSA form at the beginning of January, but we all know you have to, lest you not have the funds to attend class next semester. For most students, waiting for those refunds to kick in can be the most anxiety-inducing time frame. Most financial aid refunds take 30 days after the start of the semester to arrive. While you may be able to get by somewhat normally once the money does come in, the waiting period can prove stressful for lots of less financially stable students. 14. Maintaining a clean dorm room. With all the activities you'll need to get done, sometimes cleaning your dorm room takes a backseat to all your other priorities. And whether or not you have roommates, it can still turn into quite a mess if you're not careful. A few tips on the blog Mostly Morgan mentions how you should try cleaning your room before doing anything else. That means managing your laundry, dusting, and taking out the trash. Poorer students may not take out the trash so often to save money on trash bags. So be mindful of what you throw away and try to make sure it doesn't overflow. 13. Staying in instead of going to see movies or shows. When the space in your wallet gets bigger and bigger, you find yourself staying in a lot more while your more financially stable classmates might be going out and eating at the trendiest Instagrammable eatery, or even just going to the movies all the time or the coolest show downtown. And then there's you, staying at home and watching Netflix. And there's nothing wrong with that. If your parents don't pay for Netflix, you can always start an account with friends and split that $10 to $14 a month plan. Once in a while, try planning an apartment or dorm movie watching party so you're not alone. 12. College parking violations. For those who don't live on campus, parking at school can be somewhat of a nightmarish landscape, no matter what time of day. Sometimes you just park where you can to make it on time to class, thus leading to parking violations. Most of the time, you just hightail it to the parking and transportation office to pay a nice fine. Desperate students like this one already know they're gonna get a parking violation and write a note to the parking department to please let it slide. In In 2016, college student Joshua Browder came up with a website called donotpay.co.uk, an online robot lawyer that somehow knows how to deal with getting parking tickets dismissed, a college kid's best friend. 11. Not going out to bars. Bar hopping is a big part of college culture, especially in the United States after you turn 21 and you're in your upperclassmen years of college. But going out for drinks or paying a party entry fee just doesn't sound appealing to someone who's barely making it by financially. As a result, you skip all the low-key yet drunken nights your schoolmates are experiencing for quieter, more alone times. This goes hand in hand with the not going out in general with your friends we mentioned earlier. Yet somehow the drinking culture seems like a rite of passage poorer students miss out on. 10. Getting your debit card approved. One of the best feelings you get, mixed with some underlying dread, is when you're at the grocery store and your debit card gets approved. You bought the thing you needed, but now you seem to have even less money in your account, which was already drawing pretty slim. That's where budgeting comes in. Before you even start the semester, figure out all your finances, such as who's paying for college, your school supplies, including textbooks, your room and board, and transportation. College isn't just for school subjects. It serves as a place where you can practice being an independent adult. 9. You dress down more. This is something even rich or financially stable college students can relate to. When you live a constantly busy life, who has time to wear their best clothes all the time? Or for the poorer college kid, who has time and the means to buy them? You'll find that at times in your college career, especially depending on the culture of your school, that you become less fashionable for a time, sporting sweatpants, hoodies, and sneakers. But if you want to look more presentable, there's cheap ways of finding fashionable clothes. Check out online stores for deals. Topshop even offers student discounts. Also be willing to look at donation or consignment stores for some secondhand buys. 8. The state of your clothes now. So since you have no money to buy new clothes, your shoes may look something like this, or maybe much more worn. But that's part of the experience. You learn to appreciate all the new shoes your parents used to buy you as a kid. When you do save up enough money, try to invest in a good pair of comfortable shoes that will last you for semesters and can withstand the heat, the cold, and the rain you will endure when you're walking to and from class. So maybe leave the heels and easily susceptible flip-flops at home. 7. Counting pennies. Find yourself counting coins and the small amount of cash in your wallet to avoid spending what's left in your bank account? FAFSA has a few tips on how to not touch your savings as well as receive more financial aid. They suggest moving some of the things you've listed in your reportable assets category into the non-reportable one. Non-reportable assets include things your parents will know more about, such as pensions and 401k plans, whereas reportable assets tend to be things like trust funds, bank accounts, stocks, or college savings plans. These things just give FAFSA an idea of what your household does with their finances. 6. Swiping what you can from the DC. DC stands for Dining Commons, and while the school tells you not to, students often try to make the most of their tuition and take what food they can from the Dining Commons. This might include filling your gallon of milk up from the milk fountain and taking it to your dorm, stowing large amounts of food away in the Tupperware you brought, or any other ways you've snuck food out of the hall to eat later. In an anonymous collection of student stories on USA Today College, students reveal some of the wildest things they took from the Dining Commons. From 5 gourds, a tub of ice cream, to 2 whole pies, it just goes to show the eating struggle is real. 5. Job hunting and interviews. Being broke and finding a job may prove difficult enough, but adding the schedule you have for school on top of that, that's a reality lots of college students face when trying to support themselves and go to school at the same time. Many jobs might not be willing to take on students that have a certain schedule that includes classes and studying to work around, but the key is to be truthful. The website The Balance recommends that you let your potential employer know that you've just come from class if you did. If they see you are professional and responsible, and with the knowledge you already live on a busy schedule, they'll be more inclined to hire you. 4. DIY Halloween costumes. When it comes to fun, a broke college student's holiday experiences may be a lot more low-key or ridiculous since you're making do with what you have. Your costumes may look more like this one in this picture, showing this girl's rendition of Sideshow Bob's mop head from The Simpsons. She made a pretty accurate costume for rather cheap. 3. Post-holiday spoils. After you learn to appreciate food more since you have so little healthy amounts of it now, you will also see that you're saving more food from the holidays. Whether it be from a Thanksgiving feast, to even the Halloween candy left over from when you dressed up in your cheap costume, it's just a way to have more food. And it's just more studying snacks, right? 2. The free food. You may find yourself going to more events at school just because they offer free food. You'll also notice that in college, you get an abundance of free things, like t-shirts, planners, pens, and bags. A few apps exist that were made solely for college students looking to save. The College Foods app finds dining options near your school as well as deals on meals. The app called TUN lets you in on student discounts, student rewards, and savings on textbooks. You can also look to Groupon if you and your other college friends find yourselves in a financial bind but in need of food or fun. 1. Where your money went. So you trudge through the semester and make it past midterms and then past finals. Then you look at your bank account and wonder where all your money went. Here's a few more financial tips we'll share with you. Use cash instead of credit. Professor Joydeep Srivastava from the University of Maryland and Professor Priya Raghubir from NYU found in their study that having tangible, physical cash conditions people to spend less money since you can see just how money you have left. Happy adulting!
If you liked that video, check out my channel, Wacky Universe, right over here. See you next week.